What's going on, guys? Casey Mo. So I've been getting a lot of requests to show some double wall stacking. So in my opinion, raiding is already way too hard as it is. Devs keep saying they're going to work on this, but I haven't seen anything yet. So hopefully this pushes their hand, getting this shit done if everyone knows about it. So what is wall stacking? So in Rust, everyone is trying to get your juicy loots. So people like protecting their bases with the least amount of resources as possible, obviously. So what a lot of people like to do is they add a little space between their foundations, adding an extra wall in a small confined space. The problem though, is most of the base I see using this technique are giving up the most valuable thing about stacking walls, the element of surprise. If a raider knows your base is double stacked, they most likely won't raid your base horizontally. They're more likely to raid your base vertically, meaning a tower raid. They'll take over one of your cupboards on the outside, build up, jump from the top down. But if you can make your base look like it's an easy raid, when it actually has more walls than a base double its size, that should give you enough time to booty clap them while half their team is trying to run back, bring some more rockets back to the base to finish the raid. Let's go check it out. All right, so the first way everyone started doing wall stacking was like this. That's how I had my Atlantis build way back when. The problem, back then you couldn't use double doors, so you couldn't even walk through this. So you really had to use this as honeycomb for your bottom floors and then use it like a bridge base. But now, with double doors, it's not really that big of an issue. It's a little bit annoying, but this way is also the easiest way to double wall. I'll show you guys how to do this in a sec here. So the second way to double wall is like so. So the thing with this though, is it's very strong in only one direction, right? If you go this way, it's just as strong as anything else. So you don't have double walls this way. Now there is a way to have double walls on both sides. I'll show you what I mean here. So you can double stack like this, then you got protection both this way and this way. The problem though, is that you have these corners right here where the inside walls are exposed. This wall's fine. This wall's not. So there's probably a way that you can work this into your build so this part isn't vulnerable, but just keep that in mind that that's there. I normally don't like to use this because it is a little bit risky. Just to show you here, as you can see, the inside walls are also damaged. So just keep that in mind. So you have to think of ways you can use this where people don't notice that your base is double stacked on the outside. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. This is the first method that I used. There's no gaps on the outside. See, it just looks like regular foundations all the way around. The only way you can tell is on the top, but as long as you're not building the bottom of a hill where you shouldn't be anyways, no one's gonna be able to tell.
Well, they can just take over your cupboard and then tower raid to the top, and then they can tell if your base is double stacked.
Well, look, dude, if they're taking over your cupboard and you're not fortifying your cupboard enough, you need to make sure your cupboards are so unappealing that no one wants to take over them. All right, that's the only way that this build is going to be effective, so I don't want to hear that shit. Now for the second way, these work perfect for airlocks, right? So here's an example of what I'm talking about here. You can do this in all three stone sections, and you can have double stacked walls all the way down if you want to. Now, in order to make this an effective strategy, you need to make the airlocks more appealing than the other sides. So how do you do that? A simple way. You can just use high walls, right? If you put two high walls, most likely they'll go through the airlock instead of the high walls. So to stack these, you can even triple stack these if you want to. So it just depends on how much resources you got, but that's how you make them go through the airlocks instead. Now the third way, the third and my most favorite way, a lot of people might not think this is double wall stacking, but this is probably the most effective method of wall stacking. I'll show you here. All right, so these are some of my most favorite ways of double stacking walls. Notice there's nothing too fancy going on here. There's no way to tell that this is double stacked on the outside, and even from the top, there's no way to tell because all these foundations are connected. But you don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need to build out a bunch of twig and destroy it. Super easy to build. It's efficient and effective. All right, so here we go. These are the same bases here. I just put roofs on them. See, as you can see, there's no way that you can possibly tell that these are double stacked walls. There's no creases on the outside. There's There's no breaks in the foundations, nothing. There's absolutely no way to tell. The reason why double stacking walls is so effective is because it's going to surprise the raiders. I can't even count the amount of times that we've been raided, and the raiders had to go home to go get more rockets, giving us enough time to repair our base, shutting down the raid. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do the first and second method that I showed you guys. The third method is just gonna be playing with some different foundation footprints, seeing what you can come up with and making sure you can close up the top and building a base without any gaps on the outside. So here it is. Let's go check it out. All right, so here's for the first one. This is probably the easiest one to do. Just delete that. Bam, easy peasy. So the reason why this works is because squares are longer than triangles. So that creates that little gap, but just remember, can't use single doors for this, has to be double doors. All right, so the next one here, this is probably one of the more popular ones. So there's two different ways to do this. I'll show you guys both of them here. So you're gonna go out 7 hexagons. You don't have to build the full hexagon. All you have to do is just half of one, but you're gonna go out 7. So let's do this. All right, so that's 7. All right, next thing, just delete all these. Now you're gonna come back with squares. All right, so this one needs to be stone in order for this to work. And you can either, double wall them just right there, but if you wanna overlap them, increase your stability, then you can. There we go. Okay, so this gap is a little bit bigger. So it depends on what your build is, what you're trying to do. You can shoot through this, so just keep that in mind when building. So now I'm going to show you how to do the tighter gap, this one right here. So this is probably one of my more favorite ways of doing it because the gap is a little bit closer and the foundations are connected. You could have 4 walls here, but then you have a space between your foundations, so your stability won't be quite as good. Again, just depends on what you're doing. If you want to have good stability in your base, then you're going to need to do this, but if you don't need the good stability, then this one's fine. So I'll show you guys how to do this one. All right, so let's say we're gonna double stack this right here. So you're gonna go at 8 square foundations. There we go. Now just delete all of them except for the last ones. And you're gonna come back with 4 hexagons. All right, now we got this gap here and same thing. Bam. So one problem you might run into is this. See, I can't place it now, even if these are upgraded. Still can't place it. So just make sure you're doing it on a single foundation for this trick. When it's like this, you should be able to do it with the 7 foundation one, this one right here. So keep that in mind. If you already stoned this part up, it's not too late. You can still do it that way. All right, now to get the triple stack, same thing, but you're gonna do it on the 2nd foundation. So 8 out, 4 hexagons back. And now since we have 2 overlapping foundations, it's gonna let us place 3 in the middle. No rocket splash. All right, so there's that. All right, so this is another way to double stack. I saw this on Reddit a long time ago. I've seen Prince Vids doing this a lot too. I'm not too sure if he was the one that figured it out or if it was the Reddit guy, but I'll show you guys how to do this. So you're gonna use the same exact concept. All right, so what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a little gap between those 2 right there. So how do we do that? We use the same technique, but so you're gonna go out 3 hexagons. All right, so that's 3. 1, 2, 3. See, that creates a little gap there. So all you do is that. And then now you got this, I think he called it shark comb or something. So Prince Vids was calling it. Kind of looks like shark teeth or something. And then if you want to extend this, you don't have to redo that every time. You just build it like that. Same thing on this side. So this is cool and all. The problem with this though is it is a little bit harder to hide because the corners, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. So just keep that in mind when building. It's still good. It's just maybe not quite as good as these ones because you can hide these a little bit more. Also with this, it's really only making it a single wall thicker. See, compared to this is 1, 2, 3 walls to get through, where this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it really only makes it one wall stronger. So it's up to you if that's worth it to you or not. But there it is. And then here's another way to double wall stack on triangle foundations. You can apply this in a few different ways. There was a problem that I saw though. Walls are sticking out a bit right there. So if I were to rock it right here, see, it damages the inside walls there. But there's a trick you can do. Sheet metal is a little bit thicker than stone, so this will actually block it, and I'll test it out here for you guys. There you go. All right, so I'll show you how to do this one. All right, so for this one, you're gonna go out 5 hexagons. All right, that last one's just a placeholder, so we got 5 here. All right, so then we're gonna come right about here. It's a little bit longer than a foundation space, so bam, and then those overlap. There we go. And then you just repeat the same process on all 3 sides. So this could be used for a tool cupboard. You know, it's 3 walls to get to the cupboard, and you can make it look like it's not double stacked. Most people won't go through the roofs. It's still possible that they might, but there it is.
This technique is useless because the land isn't always flat.
False statement. Use your head a little. You can use the same technique. It'll just take a little more time, a little more effort. Notice how TJ inches forward, going 1 hexagon back at a time. He's doing the same exact thing. His only goal is to come back with 4 hexagons. And as you can see, it yields the same result. All right, so here's a perfect example of what not to do. So these guys have a good idea, but you can easily see that this base is double walled. Not to mention you can Spider-Man jump up the corners. Don't let this happen to you. Quick bonus clip in the end, guys. Thanks so much if you guys made it to the end. If you guys learned at least one thing from the video, it would mean a lot to me if you guys could like the video. And real quick, just wanted to say, base designs are not invented, they're discovered. They're already out there. It's our job to find these footprints and to come up with our own designs. So there's so many different versions of these bases here that we just haven't even discovered yet. And that's what we're here to do.
Bonus clip. Listen.
All right, so real quick for the bonus clip, you guys. As you can see, it doesn't look like there's any boxes in here. This is just kind of a little secret to hide in your loot. But if you look into the floor right here, got a little secret stash. All right, you can't really tell it's there at all, but there it is. Bam. So I'll show you how we did this here. This is found by Monsieur Alpha. But we actually just built over one of these. So he tested this a couple weeks ago, and it actually stayed here for a couple days. You can also do this with the new loot spawns like these right here. Build over this and does the same sort of thing, or maybe even the new loot crates. So just wanted to share that idea with you guys. I didn't have enough time to fully test it to see how long it stays there, but there it is. Thanks for watching, guys.